Hello, my dear hunters. Welcome to yet another night, and yet another tale. Tonight, we shall speak of the PALEBLOOD hunt. Before we begin, let me take a moment to thank you all for your support and kind words. These past months have been very warm for me, connecting with all of you, each from a different place in the world. It amazes me how each one of you has your own life, your own happiness and struggles, and someone and something to care about. And yet, we all gather here to tell stories driven by human imagination. It seems that the most important thing in life is to live beyond ourselves and experience worlds born from our shared desire to connect and care about something together. So, thank you, and let's begin. Hunter, find your place and settle in. Tonight, we descend once more into the streets of Yharnam, that ancient city of blood and dreams, where the line between sleep and waking has long since dissolved. We will walk its cobblestones together, you and I, and perhaps by the end of this long night, we will understand something of the truth that lies coiled at the heart of the hunt, the PALEBLOOD. Our tale begins with a traveler, driven by a ray of hope for finding a cure. Battling with sickness, they arrive in the Gothic metropolis of Yharnam. Nothing would bring them to such a grim city other than the promise of healing. You wake up on a table in a clinic somewhere in Yharnam. The room is dim, lit by sickly light that filters through grimy windows. The air tastes of old blood and antiseptic. Before you, an old man sits hunched in a wheelchair, his face obscured by bandages, his eyes hidden from view. He is the first soul you meet in this strange city. A blood minister of the healing church. His voice is a dry rasp, yet it carries a strange reassurance. He seems to know why you have come. You have come to Yharnam seeking something, perhaps healing, perhaps answers, perhaps something you cannot name.
Oh, yeah. Hell. Well, you've come to the right place. Yharnam is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
The old man tells you that Yharnam is the home of blood ministration, that you need only unravel its mystery. But of course, he says, that first you will need a contract. A document is produced. Its purpose is not entirely clear, but the implication is absolute. To receive the cure, you must bind yourself to this place and its ways. It is an agreement to receive the city's unique blood, and in doing so to become a hunter. With the contract signed and sealed, the ministration begins. The minister's final words are a strange comfort and a veiled warning.
Good. All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
Potent Yharnam blood enters your veins, and consciousness slips away, pulling you down into a fevered darkness where your nightmare begins. As you drift, a vision claws its way into your mind. A colossal beast, dripping with fresh blood, lurches from a pooling darkness on the floor. It extends a long, clawed hand toward you. Before the gesture's meaning can be understood, there is a flash of searing light, and the creature is suddenly wreathed in flame, its form twisting in silent agony. From the shadows, small, skeletal figures emerge. These pale, ghost-like beings swarm the burning beast, crawling over it, pulling it apart in a wave of writhing limbs before turning their eyeless attention to you. They pull you down, deeper into the nightmare. You awaken with a gasp on the same operating table, the dream dissolving like smoke. The room is unchanged, but the atmosphere is heavier, the silence more complete. The blood minister is gone. You are alone. Pushing yourself to your feet, you find a small, folded note on a nearby chair. The handwriting is a desperate scrawl. Seek pale blood to transcend the hunt. The words hold no meaning yet, but they plant a seed of purpose in your disoriented mind. With no other choice, you push open a door and step into the darkened halls of Yesafka's clinic. The building is eerily quiet. As you descend a short flight of stairs, a horrifying scene unfolds. A creature, more wolf than man, is hunched over a bloody corpse, tearing at it with savage ferocity. This is a scourge beast, a living embodiment of the plague that rots Yharnam from within. It turns its head, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light, and fixes its gaze upon you. You are unarmed, your body weak from the transfusion. The beast lurches, a blur of claws and teeth. Its talons tear into your flesh and crush the bone beneath, and you feel your consciousness dissolve into the encroaching dark. Death, however, is not an escape. You awaken not in the cold clinic, but in a place outside of time and space. It is a serene, if melancholic, garden bathed in perpetual beautiful twilight. Weathered headstones dot a gentle slope leading up to a vast, impossible workshop whose door is firmly shut. This is the hunter's dream, a haven for those bound to the hunt. For now, it is a place of profound stillness. A life-sized doll sits propped against the workshop steps, beautiful but inert. The air is empty of any sound. As you stand in the disquieting peace, the ground trembles at your feet. Those same pale, skeletal creatures from your vision emerge, but they are not hostile. These are the messengers, and they offer you a choice. From their outstretched hands, you select your first tools of the trade, a trick weapon, a marvel of Yharnamite engineering that can shift between two distinct forms, and a firearm, a hunter's essential companion. Armed, you find the dream offers no other solace. The workshop remains inaccessible. The doll does not move. The only path is back to the world that killed you. Approaching one of the tombstones, you feel a familiar pull, a connection to the outer world. You are drawn back to the clinic, to the very room where you fell. The scourge beast is still there, its back to you, its bloody work unfinished. But this time, you are no longer helpless. This time, you are a hunter. The ensuing fight is a brutal education in the city's grim dance, the quick-step dodge, the clash of steel against bone, the staggering report of a firearm. The beast falls, and a cold satisfaction settles within you. You explore the clinic further, only to find the main gate leading out to the city streets is locked tight from the other side. You are confined. Your only path forward is through the clinic's sick rooms, where you discover a strange, glowing lantern. As you touch it, a warmth spreads through you, and the world dissolves once more. You stand again in the hunter's dream, but something has changed. The great door of the workshop now stands ajar, a faint, welcoming light spilling from within. Stepping across the threshold, you find an old man in a wheelchair, one of his legs gone from the knee down. This is Gehrman. He appears to be sleeping, but as you approach, he awakens from his slumber. He offers you your first piece of counsel, his voice weary, as if he has given this speech countless times before. "You're a hunter, aren't you?" he murmurs. "Go out and kill a few beasts. It's for your own good, you know. It's just what hunters do." He explains that this dream is a sanctuary, the workshop a place to mend your tools and your mind. He speaks of the hunt, of Yharnam, and of the beasts that plague its streets. His words are a simple directive, a purpose to cling to in the encroaching madness. The hunt has truly begun. Armed with Gehrman's counsel and the tools of the trade, you leave the sanctuary of the dream. The glow of the lantern fades, and you find yourself back in the cold reality of the clinic. The gate that once barred your way now stands unlocked, a silent invitation into the heart of the city. You push it open and take your first steps into central Yharnam. The air is thick with the smell of coal smoke and old blood. Oppressive Gothic spires clawed a sky the color of a fading bruise. The city is dead, and yet it screams. From the labyrinthine streets below comes a chorus of hate and fear, the sound of a populace turned into a fanatical mob. They are the first line of Yharnam's defense, and its most immediate sickness. Men and women, their faces contorted with rage, stalk the cobblestones with torches and pitchforks. They are hunting beasts, but in their delirium, anything that moves is a target. They spit curses, labeling you a foul beast and commanding you to be gone from their city. Amid the chaos, a single lit window offers a strange point of stillness. From within, a man's ragged coughing can be heard. You approach and speak the one clue you possess, the name of PALEBLOOD.
Fine time of it. Yharnam has a special way of treating guests. Well, I don't think I could stand if I wanted to, but I'm willing to help if there's anything that can be done. This town is cursed. Whatever your reasons might be, you should plan a swift exit. Whatever can be gained from this place, it will do more harm than good. PALEBLOOD, you say? Never heard of it. But if it's blood you're interested in, you should try the Healing Church. The church controls all knowledge on blood ministration, and all varieties of blood. Across the valley to the east of Yharnam lies the town of the Healing Church, known as the Cathedral Ward. And deep within Cathedral Ward is the old Grand Cathedral, the birthplace of the Healing Church's special blood, or so they say.
Gilbert, a fellow outsider drawn to the city by the promise of its healing blood, has never heard of it. This is the first and most jarring revelation of your hunt. The blood you seek, the pale blood you want to understand, is unknown even to the citizens of a city renowned for blood. Yharnam's entire existence, its international fame, and its current catastrophic downfall is built upon the administration of miraculous blood. Men like Gilbert have traveled from distant lands, staking their last hopes on the city's legendary cures. The Healing Church controls all knowledge of blood ministration, and the streets are stained with it. Yet, the one name you were given, the supposed key to transcending the hunt, produces a complete blank. This discovery is unsettling, hinting that pale blood is more than just a rare vintage of the city's famous remedy, but a secret so alien that even in the world's capital of blood, it remains an utter mystery. Gilbert notes that if it is a special kind of blood you seek, you have certainly come to the right city in principle. He explains that Yharnam's famous blood healing is the domain of the Healing Church, and if any unique blood is to be found, it would be with them. He urges you to seek the Cathedral Ward, the seat of the Church's power, and tells you the Great Bridge is the only way out of this section of the city, but adds a crucial piece of advice should the bridge prove a dead end. The path to the Cathedral Ward might also be accessed by descending into the aqueduct system that runs beneath the city. With this destination in mind, you press on. The descent into the city is a gauntlet of ambushes and frenzied violence. Yharnamites lie in wait around corners and burst from shuttered homes. In a wide square, a great pyre has been built, and upon it burns the massive effigy of a beast, its wooden form a monument to the city's terror. A patrol of hunters circles it, their devotion a dangerous, burning thing. They are all that remains of law in a city that has consumed itself. You fight your way through the mob, your new weapon a grim extension of your will. The streets eventually begin to climb, leading to a massive stone aqueduct that serves as a bridge. The air grows colder here, the shouts of the mob more distant, but the quiet is deceptive. As you set foot upon the bridge, two hulking scourge beasts, there forms a grotesque fusion of man and wolf, rise to meet you. They are faster and far more lethal than the townsfolk, a true test of a hunter's skill. Beyond their mangled bodies, the bridge stretches out, seemingly empty. But as you walk its length, a sound splits the air, a horrifying, piercing shriek that seems to come from the sky itself. An immense creature lands before you, its impact shaking the stone. It is a mass of knotted, gray fur and exposed bone, its left arm withered and small, its right a monstrous limb of unnatural strength. This is the cleric beast, a former man of the church, now lost completely to the scourge. It is the first true monster of your hunt. The fight is a desperate struggle against a foe of immense size and power. But as your blade finds its mark one last time, the creature collapses, its death cry echoing across the rooftops of Yharnam. A strange light leaves its body and flows into you, and with it comes a new sensation, a feeling in the back of your mind, a subtle crack opening in your perception of the world. You have gained insight. You return to the quiet solace of the hunter's dream. The air is the same, the tombstones are in their places, but something has fundamentally changed. The doll, once a lifeless object slumped against the steps, now sits upright. A subtle life seems to have possessed her, a life, an awareness that was not there before. Drawn by this change, you approach her. Only when you speak does she turn her porcelain head, her voice soft and even. She welcomes you home, introducing herself as a doll created to look after you. She offers to channel the blood you carry, the echoes of the slain, turning their power into your own strength. The dream is no longer just a workshop, it is a home. And the doll, its gentle caretaker, has awakened to her purpose. With the doll's purpose awakened and your own strength enhanced, you turn your attention back to Yharnam. The Great Bridge, site of your first true victory, is a dead end. The path to the Cathedral Ward must lie elsewhere, buried in the city's labyrinthine structure. You backtrack from the bridge, leaving the shrieking beast's resting place behind, and find a new path leading down, away from the moonlit streets, and into the shadowed underbelly of Yharnam. In a hidden plaza overlooking the city's dry docks, you encounter another hunter. She leans against a stone railing, garbed in a cloak of crow feathers, her face obscured by a long, beaked mask. This is Eileen. She is not like the mad hunters of the mob. Her posture is calm, her voice aged and weary. She speaks of her own duty, not hunting beasts, but hunting those hunters who have become addicted to the blood, their sanity scoured away by the thrill of the chase. She offers a word of caution, a warning that a hunter must never forget the line between their duty and the beastly urges that fester within. Leaving the old crow to her watch, your path descends further into the claustrophobic darkness of Yharnam's sewers. Here, in the damp and filth, the city's forgotten refuse festers. Bloated corpses drift in the stagnant water, and giant rats scurry in the shadows. It is a grim, lightless journey that eventually leads back up to the city surface, onto a street you have not yet walked. There, you see another lit window, and hear the voice of a small child. The young girl is looking for her mother, Viola. She says her father, Gascoigne, is a hunter, and he has been out on this long night for some time. Her mother went to find him, and now neither has returned. The girl gives you a tiny music box, a family keepsake. She explains that if her father has forgotten them in the heat of the hunt, its melody might bring him back to his senses. She asks you, a stranger in the night, to find her mother. carrying the small, hopeful token, you press onward. The way forward is guarded by a hulking brute of a man, and beyond him, an old iron lift that carries you upwards, towards a bridge leading to a vast, rain-slicked cemetery. This is the tomb of Odin. Hundreds of crooked tombstones stand like a petrified forest under the weeping sky. A palpable sense of dread hangs in the air, a stillness that promises violence. And there, amidst the graves, you find him. A man in hunter's attire is savagely hacking at a half-devoured corpse. This is Father Gascoigne. He turns, his face a mask of feral glee, and lunges. He is a hunter like you, but he has succumbed to the same thing Eileen warned of. The fight is a frantic, desperate duel. He is a storm of practiced violence, his axe and blunderbuss a constant threat. During a lull in his attacks, you open the small music box. The tinny, gentle melody drifts through the rain-soaked air. Gascoigne recoils, clutching his head as if pierced by the sound. For a moment, the beast inside him is stilled by a memory of home, of family. But the respite is brief. The pain of remembrance only fuels his rage. Wounded and tormented by the music, his body can no longer contain the scourge. With a sickening crack of bone and a tearing of flesh, he transforms, his human form swelling into that of a hulking, powerful beast. He has abandoned his weapons, his last ties to humanity, for pure, unrestrained ferocity. The battle that follows is a brutal contest of survival. The tactical duel between hunters is gone, replaced by a desperate dance with a creature of pure instinct. The beast that was Gascoigne is a blur of motion, bounding across the soggy earth and smashing through tombstones as if they were brittle twigs. He leaps high into the rainy sky, a dark shape against the pale moon, only to crash down with crushing force. It becomes a fight of inches and moments, of dodging a furious flurry of claws and finding the briefest opening to strike back. The cemetery itself becomes a ruined arena, stone shattering under an assault that is no longer guided by a mind, but only by the insatiable thirst for blood. It lunges one last time, a roar of pure rage tearing from its throat, claws outstretched to shred you. But this time, you do not dodge. You stand your ground, raise your firearm, and fire at the precise moment of its attack. The blast of lead and quicksilver finds its mark, not just wounding flesh, but breaking the creature's furious momentum. It falters, dropping to one knee, its head hanging low in a moment of stunned vulnerability. Seizing this final, desperate opening, you plunge your arm into the beast's chest. With a sickening tear of flesh and bone, the fight ends. When at last the beast that was Gascoigne lies still upon the wet earth, an unnerving quiet settles over the cemetery. As you search the area, you discover a body lying on the roof of a small building overlooking the graves. It is a woman, elegantly dressed, a red jeweled brooch pinned to her clothes. It is Viola. She found her husband, but she could not save him from the beast he had become. The entire family is lost to the night. With With a heavy knowledge of their fate, you find the path forward. A long ladder scales the high stone wall at the back of the cemetery. You climb, leaving the tragic tomb behind. At the top, you push open a heavy gate and step through. Before you, the grand architecture of the healing church rises into the night sky. You have finally reached the Cathedral Ward. Stepping through the gate from Gascoigne's graveyard, you find yourself in the grand Cathedral Ward. The scale of the architecture is immense, a testament to the healing church's former power. Unlike the cramped, chaotic streets of central Yharnam, this place feels strangely empty, its wide plazas and stairways watched over by a solemn quiet. Near the entrance, you find sanctuary in a small chapel. Inside, a peculiar red-robed figure, sightless yet strangely aware, extends a unique request. He is the guardian of this place, Odin Chapel, and he asks that if you find any other souls who have survived the hunt, you send them here to the safety of his care. The path forward is clear: the grand cathedral, a colossal structure that dominates the skyline. But the way is barred. A massive set of gates, operated by a complex mechanism, seals the main plaza. The device requires a special emblem to function, a key held only by the healing church's highest-ranking hunters. You learn that one such emblem can be acquired, but the cost is steep, demanding a great wealth of blood echoes. This presents a choice: a direct path, earned through extensive hunting, or another, more hidden route. A side door in the ward leads down toward a part of the city spoken of with dread, Old Yharnam. This was where the ashen blood plague first raged uncontrollably. The church's solution was to cleanse with fire instead of healing. They burned the entire district to the ground, sealing its afflicted inhabitants within, and then abandoned it to time and memory. As you descend into this forgotten burrow, the air grows thick with the stench of ash and decay. A voice, amplified by the city's acoustics, booms from a distant clock tower. It is a warning, a command to turn back and leave the beasts of Old Yharnam to their peace. This is the retired hunter, Gehrman. From his perch, he has become the protector of the blighted creatures below, and he unleashes a punishing hail of bullets from a Gatling gun at any hunter who trespasses. Under this constant barrage, you navigate the scorched and crumbling streets. The beasts here are different, twisted by a more potent form of the plague, their bodies covered in sores and their movements erratic. Your journey through the fire-ravaged city leads you to the absolute bottom, to the soot-stained doors of the Church of the Good Chalice. Inside, hanging from the ceiling above a barren altar, is a creature of pure sickness. It is the blood-starved beast, a flayed, skinless monstrosity that weeps a constant stream of poison from its emaciated body. The fight against it is a feverish dance of dodging its venomous attacks and striking at its exposed flesh. Slaying this forsaken creature sends a ripple through the world. Its death unlocks a new path, revealing a hidden entrance to the healing church workshop, a tall tower that allows you to bypass the sealed gates of the main plaza entirely. But its demise also draws unwanted attention. Tall, gaunt figures carrying large, bloodied sacks begin to appear in the dark corners of Yharnam. Whether by paying the price for the emblem, or by taking the long, arduous path through old Yharnam's ashes, you finally open the way to the grand cathedral. The plaza before it is patrolled by colossal church giants. Their slow, deliberate movements, a stark contrast to the frenzy of the city below. You enter the cathedral's cavernous nave. The air is still and heavy with incense. At the far end, before a towering altar, a woman in the white robes of a vicar kneels in desperate prayer. This is Amelia. She clutches a golden pendant, her words a frantic, unintelligible plea. As you approach, she turns, her prayer turning to a cry of anguish and terror. Her body convulses, bones cracking and rearranging under her skin. Her form swells and elongates, white fur erupting from her robes as she transforms into a colossal, antlered beast. Her eyes are gone, sealed by flesh, but she sees you all the same. The battle is ferocious, a clash against a creature fueled by a desperate, tormented faith. When you finally fell the beast that was Vicar Amelia, a strange silence falls upon the grand hall. You approach the altar where she prayed and touched the object of her veneration, the desiccated skull of some unknown creature. As you do, a vision floods your mind. And here, it is time to shed some light on the tragedy of these two figures, as the history of Yharnam was laid on the difference between a master's patience and a student's ambition.
Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Oh, I know. You think now to betray me.
No, but you will never listen. I tell you, I will not forget our adage.
We are born of the blood, made men by the blood, undone by the blood. Our eyes are yet to open.
Fear the old blood. I must take my leave.
Thy gods fear it, Lawrence.
The entire catastrophe that consumed Yharnam can be traced back to a single, bitter disagreement between a teacher and his student. This argument between Provost Willem and his star pupil Lawrence was the turning point that sealed the city's dark fate. At the heart of their conflict were two completely different visions for the future of humanity. Willem, the cautious master of Bergenworth College, believed that humanity was like a child playing with fire. He preached restraint, arguing that before humans could safely use the great power they had found, they needed to first evolve their minds. His famous guiding idea was a stark warning. We are thinking on the basest of planes. What we need are more eyes. He believed true progress came from understanding, not from raw power. Lawrence, however, was full of ambition and impatience. He saw his master's caution as a weakness, a fear that was holding humanity back. In the incredible power they had unearthed, he saw a shortcut, a path to greatness. He believed they could use it to directly lift humanity into a new age of strength and glory, leaving behind their frail mortal forms. This fundamental clash, Willem's path of slow, careful insight versus Lawrence's desire for immediate physical transformation, was the crack in the foundation that would eventually bring the whole city crashing down. The source of their world-changing debate was a substance that defied all logic, the old blood. This miraculous crimson liquid was a true medical marvel, capable of curing any illness and granting incredible vitality. It seemed like the answer to humanity's prayers, a gift that could end all suffering. But the scholars of Bergenworth soon learned that this gift had a hidden price. The old blood was beyond just being a medicine. It was a connection, a channel that allowed alien forces from beyond the stars to influence the physical world. It was a tool, but they were not the only ones using it. This world-changing substance wasn't made in a lab, it was discovered. The scholars of Bergenworth found it deep underground, in a massive, ancient maze of tombs called the Thumerian Labyrinths. Yharnam was built directly on top of this forgotten world, a city resting on the bones of a civilization that had already made contact with beings from the stars. These Thumerians were long gone, but their legacy and the cosmic entities they once communed with remained buried below. It was in these dark halls that humanity stumbled upon a power it was not ready to handle. Driven by ambition, Lawrence would leave Bergenworth and its master's slow, cautious philosophy behind. He took with him the old blood and the forbidden research surrounding it, and from these seeds he would found what came to be known as the Healing Church, an institution that would, in time, bring the city's destruction. Willem remained at Bergenworth. He continued his studies, growing old, cold, and distant, placing his faith in a different path, the lining of the brain with eyes, the elevation of consciousness itself. Yet whether Willem's path was any safer than Lawrence's is a matter of interpretation. Both men sought the same end. Both sought to transcend humanity. And both, in their own ways, failed. The vision fades, leaving you alone in the silent cathedral. As you step outside, you see that the world has changed. The last vestiges of sunlight are gone from the horizon. The moon now hangs high in the dark sky, casting a pale, cold light over the city. The night, the true and endless night of the hunt, has begun. chilling password now burned into your mind. You have a new key and a new purpose. As the true night begins, you turn from the grand cathedral and make your way to a previously sealed door in the Cathedral Ward. You approach the silent stone guardian, a statue of a hooded figure, and speak the words learned from the skull's memory. With a low groan of grinding stone, a hidden path is revealed, leading down from the heights of the church's domain and into the dark wilderness that surrounds Yharnam. The hunt, however, is not a straight line. The city now has new predators. As you journey through its darkened streets, you might be ambushed by one of the tall, lanky figures that appeared after the fall of the blood-starved beast. A crushing blow from their bloodied sacks does not grant you the mercy of death and rebirth in the dream. Instead, you awaken with a splitting headache on the cold floor of a damp cell. You have been abducted. This is Hypogene Jail, a secret prison that festers beneath the unseen village of Yahar'gul. The air hums with an unnerving chant, and the constant, rhythmic chime of a sinister bell echoes through the halls. This place is not controlled by the healing church, but by a new, shadowy faction, the School of Mensis. Your abduction is the first glimpse into a far stranger and more deliberate plot unfolding behind the city-wide plague of beasts. Whether you manage to escape the jail's grasp or avoid its snatchers entirely, the path forward eventually leads you out of the city and into the forbidden woods. The name is an understatement. It is a vast, disorienting maze of gnarled trees and shadowed ravines, where the ground itself seems to writhe. Colossal serpents, white and venomous, patrol the forest floor, their hissing a constant threat in the undergrowth. Deeper within this corrupted forest, you discover a small, dilapidated village. But its inhabitants are not merely mad, they are infested. A strange parasite has taken root in their bodies, and with the slightest provocation, nests of snakes will erupt from their heads. In a hidden cave, tucked away from the main path, you find something stranger still. Small, blue-skinned beings with large, bulbous heads and frail limbs. They are passive, almost curious, and utterly alien. These celestial emissaries are the first physical proof that the troubles of Yharnam extend beyond the curse of beasthood and into the realm of the cosmos. After navigating the treacherous woods, the path opens into a wide, misty clearing, flooded with murky water. Your way is blocked. 3 silent, cloaked figures stand as sentinels, their faces hidden in shadow. These are the shadows of Yharnam, bound guardians of the path ahead. They attack as one, a seamless combination of tactics. One closes the distance with a sharp, curved blade. Another hangs back, conjuring fire from its hands, while the third shifts between both roles. The fight is a difficult, coordinated assault. Only after a long and desperate struggle do the 3 guardians finally dissolve into nothing. Their defeat brings a sudden, profound silence to the woods. You walk the path they protected, and the oppressive canopy of the forest gives way. Before you lies a vast and placid lake, its surface a perfect mirror for the pale moonlight. And there, on a cliff on the far shore, stands an old, stately building with a balcony overlooking the water. You have survived the woods and its corrupted guardians. You have finally arrived at the place where it all began, the College of Bergenworth. Your journey takes you to the shores of the Great Lake and to the doors of the college where all of Yharnam's sins were born. Bergenworth. You step inside. The air is stale, thick with the silence of forgotten lecture halls and the smell of old paper. This place of supposed enlightenment is now a tomb of failed ambition. The only remaining scholars are no longer human. Their obsessive search for eyes on the inside has been gruesomely successful. Their heads have collapsed into grotesque, bulbous masses of quivering eyes, and their bodies now crawl and skitter across the floors like grotesque insects. They are a living testament to the dangers of knowledge sought without caution. Ascending to the second floor, you step out onto a balcony overlooking the moonlit water, and there he is. Seated in a simple rocking chair is Master Willem, the provost of Bergenworth, the mentor to Lawrence, and the man who first discovered the eldritch truth. He is ancient, a husk of a man kept alive by esoteric means, his eyes covered. He is silent, catatonic, lost in a world you cannot perceive. As you approach, he does not acknowledge you as a person, but seems to recognize your purpose. With the last of his strength, he raises his gnarled hand and points with a staff, not at you, but out, towards the center of the vast, empty lake. It is his final lesson, his only remaining piece of guidance. There is nothing there but a long drop to the water. Trusting the Master's silent directive, you take a leap of faith. You fall, but you do not splash. Instead, you break through an invisible, shimmering barrier, the world dissolving into a flash of light. You land without harm upon a vast, featureless white plain that appears to be the surface of the water itself. The sky and the lake are one, a boundless, empty cosmos. In the distance, a colossal, pale creature drifts. It is Ram, the Vacuous Spider, a being of immense size and stony flesh, its face a placid arrangement of unblinking eyes. It is something other than a beast, a kin of the cosmos, surrounded by a legion of smaller, spider-like offspring. Ram is harmless and simply exists, a living, breathing barrier to a truth the world is not meant to see. And yet, you have been sent here to witness it. The battle is a surreal ordeal. You must cut through its swarming children while evading the arcane energy Ram summons from the sky. Finally, after a long struggle, your weapon finds its mark one last time. Ram's physical form dissipates, and a great, unnatural silence falls over the moonside lake. In that silence, a new figure comes into focus. A tall, spectral woman in a white gown, her abdomen stained with the blood of an impossible birth. This is Queen Yharnam, a grieving specter from a fallen civilization, her presence a silent testament to a past tragedy. She stands, her intent gaze fixed on a point beyond the horizon. But before you can approach her, reality shatters. The pale moon in the sky bleeds. A sickly, vermilion light washes over the cosmos as it transforms into a colossal, low-hanging blood moon. At that very instant, a new sound pierces the silence, the piercing, agonizing wail of a newborn infant. It is a sound that comes from everywhere and nowhere, a cry of immense power and pain that blankets the entire world. The veil has been torn. The death of Ram has broken the great illusion, and your mind is forcibly opened. You can now perceive the world as it truly is. As you are returned to the hunt world, you see them, colossal, many-limbed beings, like nightmarish arthropods, cling to the sides of Yharnam's great cathedrals. These amygdala were always there, but you lacked the insight to see them. You stand in the Cathedral Ward, but it is a different place now. The infant's cry continues to echo through the streets, a maddening, heartbreaking sound. Guided by the Queen's mournful gaze and this haunting sound, your path is now clear. The ritual being performed by the school of Mensis is reaching its climax, and the way to their hidden domain, the unseen village of Yahar'gul, is now open. Before we ascend into the final, maddening chapters of this story, we must take a detour. To fully understand the ritual of Mensis and the infant's cry, we must first uncover the deepest, most guarded secret of the healing church, the source of their power and their ultimate failure. This path is not forward, but down, deep down into the foundations of their faith. The journey begins with a key, an object found during an earlier ordeal in the hidden village of Yahar'gul. This upper Cathedral Ward key corresponds to a single, inaccessible door, locked away at the highest point of the healing church workshop. With the key in hand, you return to that tower and unlock the path to the choir's sanctum, the inner heart of the church's research. You step into a place unlike any other in Yharnam. The upper Cathedral Ward is unnervingly dark, the air thick with an unnatural silence. The plague here is one of knowledge. The choir's attempts to force communion with the cosmos have created horrors of a different kind. Small, blue-skinned celestials wander the halls, their minds lost to the cosmos. Scourge beasts still prowl here, but their eyes glow with an alien blue light, a sign of their direct infusion with something from beyond. And in the darkest halls patrol the brain trusts, colossal, ambulant brains whose mere gaze is a psychic assault, flooding your mind with a horrific insight that threatens to shatter your sanity. Your path leads through an ornate doorway into the Lumenflower Gardens, a grand hall filled with the passive, blue-skinned celestials. They are a strange, almost peaceful sight, until you are forced to cut a path through them. As you do, one of the creatures does not die, but begins to contort and swell, its limbs elongating, its head expanding to a grotesque size. It becomes the celestial emissary, a massive, failed attempt at creating a great one, a grotesque parody of ascension that you are forced to put down. The hall of the emissary appears to be a dead end. At the far end of the chamber stands a large, ornate window, looking out into a black void. Driven by instinct, you strike the glass. It shatters, revealing a secret passage, a hidden path to the church's final truth. An elevator takes you on a long descent, deep into the earth beneath the grand cathedral. It opens into a vast, silent cavern. There, in the dim light, you see her, a being of immense size, hunched over what appears to be a barren, rocky altar. This is Ebrietta's, daughter of the cosmos. She is a true great one who was left behind when the others ascended from the mortal plane. Discovered by the church in the ancient labyrinths, she became their secret source of communion, the living font of the old blood that was the basis of their healing miracles. She does not attack. She seems lost in mourning, her gaze fixed upon the altar before her, the same altar where the vacuous ram was slain. Only when you approach with hostile intent does she turn her attention to you. The sadness in her posture vanishes, replaced by the instinct of a cornered god. Her massive head, a crown of alien feelers, slams down with the force of a falling meteor, and she charges with the weight of a collapsing mountain. The hunter, a mere speck before such a being, must dance between her sweeping, slug-like limbs, learning the rhythm of her desperation. The fight becomes a desperate gamble. You notice that after her most powerful attacks, her head, the source of her arcane might, lowers for a brief, vulnerable moment. It is a suicidal opening, but the only one you have. After evading a devastating charge, you rush forward, ignoring the corrosive blood that seeps from her wounds, and drive your blade into her exposed head. The creature recoils, stunned by the direct assault. In that one moment of weakness, you deliver a final, decisive blow, plunging your weapon deep into the Great One's exposed core. And she simply dissolves, her physical form unable to hold its shape any longer, returning to the cosmos from which it came. Her fall lays bare the greatest secret of the healing church. But Ebrietta's is a great one. And to understand the true history, the true rise and destruction of Yharnam, we must first understand what these beings truly are. To understand the tragedy of Yharnam is to understand the Great Ones. They are not gods in the way mortals conceive of them, though they are revered as such. They are cosmic beings, existing in a reality layered over our own, with motives and a biology so profoundly alien that the human mind can only perceive them at the cost of its own coherence. In their own unknowable way, the Great Ones are drawn to humanity. They seem to seek communion, a form of contact, but their methods are incomprehensible, and their very touch is transformative. To make contact with a Great One is to be fundamentally and irrevocably changed. This is the truth the healing church discovered. The old blood they revered was the essence of these beings, and when it mingled with human blood, it did not grant ascension. It merely altered, twisted, and reshaped humanity into something caught between what it was and the beast it could become. Yet, a singular grief defines the Great Ones and fuels their interest in the mortal world. They are beings that desire children. It is the nature of every Great One to lose its child, and then to yearn for a surrogate. The reason for this cosmic loss is a mystery. Perhaps their offspring cannot endure in the physical world, or perhaps the act of creation is self-consuming. Whatever the cause, this ceaseless grief drives them to reach across the veil to humanity, seeking either to create new children or to adopt humans as their own. This cosmic yearning became a terrible snare for humanity. When the scholars of Yharnam sought communion, inviting these entities into their blood and their dreams, they became entangled in the Great One's reproductive tragedy. Humans became vessels, surrogates, and living experiments in a desperate attempt to propagate a cosmic lineage. The results were never clean. They gave birth only to nightmares, creating half-formed horrors and curses that would stain generations. This is the origin of the scourge of beasts, Yharnam's defining nightmare. It is the direct and inevitable consequence of flooding human veins with the old blood. The transformation is not random. It reveals a fundamental truth about both humanity and the blood itself. When a person partakes of the old blood, it awakens something primal within them, for the blood carries ancient, predatory memories and instincts. As it saturates the body, it begins to reshape its host according to these instincts. The person grows stronger, faster, and more aggressive as their senses sharpen. But their humanity, their reason, their compassion, their control steadily erodes. At first, the changes are subtle: a racing pulse, a sharpening of the teeth, violent urges that can, for a time, be suppressed. But the blood is a relentless tide. It pushes until a threshold is crossed, and the change becomes irreversible. The body twists, bones lengthen, fur sprouts from the skin, and where a person once stood, there is only a beast driven by an insatiable hunger and rage. The church attempted to control this plague with the hunt. Hunters were created, infused with blood to grant them the strength to fight the same monsters the blood created. They walked a razor's edge, using the source of the curse to fight the cursed, always at risk of succumbing themselves. Some did fall, becoming beast-possessed creatures caught between man and animal, still wielding weapons, but lost to all reason. Others held onto their humanity through sheer force of will, or with the aid of the hunter's dream. But the hunt itself became a form of madness, an endless cycle of violence that consumed the city. And through it all, the healing church continued the ministration. They could not stop. The people of Yharnam demanded it, for they had become addicted to its healing promise. The blood was the city's lifeblood in every sense, and to stop its flow would be to admit defeat. So the church administered, the beasts multiplied, and the hunt went on, night after bloody night. With this knowledge, you turn turn your gaze back toward the nightmare. With the great illusion shattered, the world is laid bare in its true, horrifying form. The blood moon hangs in the sky like a festering wound, and the agonizing cry of a newborn infant is a constant, maddening presence. Your path is no longer one of choice, but of dreadful purpose, a pull toward the source of that sound. You are drawn to Yahar'gul, the unseen village. This is the place you were once taken prisoner, but it is no longer hidden. The blood moon's light has revealed it in its entirety. It is a nightmare made stone and flesh. The very walls of the buildings are constructed from the petrified bodies of countless victims, their limbs and faces fused into the architecture in poses of eternal, silent terror. The entire district is a monument to the school of Mensis and their depraved ritual. Progress here is a torment. Hidden throughout the streets are gaunt women ringing sinister bells. As long as their chimes echo, the crimson light of the moon grants a horrifying immortality to the village's inhabitants. Skeletons and madmen, once struck down, reassemble themselves and rise again, their bones knitting back together in the red glow. To make any true headway, you must become a hunter of a different sort, a hunter of sound, systematically silencing the bell maidens to break the cycle of resurrection. The journey is a desperate scramble through streets under the gaze of cosmic horrors. The amygdala, now visible, cling to the high walls, firing beams of raw energy that scorch the ground where you stand. All the while, the infant's cry grows louder, more insistent, pulling you deeper into the village, toward a large, open courtyard that serves as the epicenter of the ritual. You step into the courtyard, and the cry becomes a physical presence. The blood moon hangs directly overhead, and as you watch, it seems to liquefy. From the sickly lunar light, a formless mass of flesh begins to pour down, coalescing on the ground into a single, monstrous entity. It is a dripping, writhing amalgamation of countless corpses, limbs, and viscous fluid, a grotesque mockery of birth. This is the one reborn. The battle against it is a visceral nightmare. The colossal beast flails with dozens of skeletal appendages, while its core vomits a tide of putrid, acidic bile that floods the courtyard. From its putrescent body, it can even call down a localized rain of body parts, a shower of gore that explodes on impact. Your first priority is not the beast itself, but the 6 chime maidens empowering it from the balconies above. You must scale the stairways at the edge of the arena, silencing their frantic spellcasting before you can hope to harm the abomination they protect. Only then can you focus on the beast itself, hacking at its putrid core until the foul miracle holding it together finally gives way, and it collapses into a slurry of bone and rotten fluid. With the guardian defeated, a heavy silence falls over the courtyard. The infant's cry, however, continues unabated, now seeming closer than ever. The death of the monstrosity has opened a previously sealed path into the building that overlooks the ritual site. Inside, the path ends. A single, mummified corpse sits in a strange chair in the center of a silent room. Its head is encased in an elaborate metal cage, a device of wires and lenses. This is the physical body of Mikolash, the host of the nightmare and leader of the school of Mensis. As you reach out and touch the desiccated corpse, the link to Mikolash's physical body acts as an anchor, and his consciousness, now adrift in another realm, pulls you across the threshold to join him. The world dissolves into a vertigo-inducing swirl of light and sound. When your perception reforms, you are no longer in Yharnam. You stand in a twisted, broken realm of impossible architecture under a perpetually black sky. It is a labyrinth of drifting stairways and crumbling ruins, a place built from thought and madness. Here, the infant's cry is no longer a distant echo. It is deafening, all-encompassing. You have left the world behind. You have stepped into the nightmare of Mensis. This place operates on the broken logic of a madman's dream. The path forward is a treacherous ascent through the ruins of a nightmare castle, patrolled by shambling giants and silver beasts that were once men. Spiders with pale, human faces scuttle in the shadows. Soon, you hear a voice echoing through the misty halls, a rambling, ecstatic monologue. It is Mikolash, his consciousness now free of his physical shell. Your mind is violently seized by a vision. You are witnessing the moment of this man's ascension. You see his final, ecstatic prayer through his own eyes. You hear his voice, a mad litany directed at the cosmos, pleading with a being he calls Kos, or sometimes Cosm. He begs for his prayers to be heard, his words a desperate ritual to make contact. The man with the cage on his head appears before you, only to flee, leading you on a bizarre chase through a maze of libraries and mirrored corridors. He does not fight you, he plays with you, his laughter echoing as he muses on the nature of the cosmos and the great one known as Kos. The chase becomes a hunt. You must navigate his labyrinth, cutting off his escape routes until he is cornered in a sealed chamber. Only then does he fight. He summons skeletal puppets to distract you, while his hands glow with arcane power. He thrusts his palm forward, and a spray of cosmic tentacles erupts from a tear in reality. A direct, potent attack. The key is not to retreat, but to sidestep this linear assault, using the moment he is exposed to press your advantage, driving your blade into him. After a desperate duel in the confined space, he dissolves into the mist, only to reappear deeper in the dream, forcing the chase to begin anew. You finally corner him in a vast, dark chamber, a dead end from which he cannot flee. With his back against the wall, he unleashes the full power of his communion. He still summons the otherworldly tentacles, but now he adds his most devastating discovery, He raises his hands to the black sky, gathering the core essence of the nightmare into a single point of light above his head. With a frantic prayer, he calls down a barrage of stars, an explosive volley of cosmic energy that can annihilate a hunter in a single, brilliant flash. The final battle is a relentless assault. You learn to recognize the telltale gesture of his ultimate spell and know you cannot give him the time to complete it. You must stay close, a constant threat, forcing him to rely on his weaker attacks. You press him into a corner, your weapon a blur, never giving him a moment's peace. He makes one last, desperate attempt to call upon the cosmos, his hands rising. In that instant, you lunge forward, your attack not just striking flesh, but shattering his concentration. Your final blow drives through him, silencing his incantation before it can be born. When he at last falls, his consciousness does not die, but fades, his final words a lament that he is waking from the dream. With the madman's voice silenced, the nightmare continues, its architect gone, but its structure still standing. An elevator carries you upward to the highest reaches of the dream. You emerge into a vast, open expanse of crumbling ruins under the black sky, a place patrolled by winter lanterns, whose low, maddening hum is a prelude to insanity. The entire area is bathed in the sweeping, yellow light of a colossal, caged entity suspended high above, the brain of Mensis. Its gaze is a constant, ambient pressure on your mind, a psychic assault that inflicts a terrifying madness. The main path lies forward, a direct and harrowing trial through the brain's maddening gaze. But there is another way. You can choose to seek out the source of the light, following a hidden path into a darkened building. An elevator takes you down into a pitch-black abyss where only a narrow, railless walkway exists. At its end is a lever. With a heavy pull, a great mechanism groans, and the chains holding the cage high above snap. You hear a long, wet, tearing sound as the brain of Mensis is dropped, plunging into the darkness below. The oppressive yellow light is extinguished, and a great psychic weight is lifted from the nightmare. Whether by enduring its gaze or by silencing it, you make your way across the treacherous ruins. At the end of the path, just before the final ascent, you see her. The spectral form of Queen Yharnam, her white gown stained with the blood of her child, stands in the open. She poses no threat. She stands with her hands clasped, her head bowed as she looks up toward the top of the spire, toward the source of the incessant crying. Her silent, heavy-hearted vigil confirms your path is true. You push past the queen and step onto a lift that carries you to the summit. You emerge onto a circular, moonlit rooftop arena known as Murgo's Loft. In the center is an ornate, yet empty baby carriage. The infant's cry is no longer a distant sound. It is deafening, immediate. As you approach the carriage, a figure descends from the sky, a being of shadow and steel. It is faceless and multi-limbed, wielding a curved blade in each of its many hands. This is Murgo's wet nurse, the silent guardian of the infant Great One. The battle is a deadly dance. The wet nurse is a whirlwind of flashing blades, its attacks a seamless, flowing assault that leaves almost no opening. It is a fight of strength, patience, and timing, of finding the rhythm in its storm of attacks and striking in the brief moments of calm. When your blade lands the final blow, the spectral guardian does not recoil in pain. Instead, its form begins to unravel, its many arms lowering as the blades they hold clatter silently onto the stone. The shadowy figure seems to sigh, a gesture of release, before dissolving completely into a gentle, fading mist. And as its last wisp vanishes, the piercing, agonizing cry that has defined this nightmare falters. It softens, loses its edge of pain, and for one brief, heartbreaking moment, it becomes a simple, quiet murmur. Then, there is a sudden, world-altering silence. The ritual is broken. The infant Great One is free, or perhaps simply gone. The hunt, it seems, is over. You return to the hunter's dream, your purpose fulfilled. But the sanctuary is not as you left it. The small workshop, your only haven in the long night, is engulfed in flames. The doll waits for you by the steps, her expression unchanged. Gehrman, she says, is waiting for you at the foot of the great tree in the garden. The night has reached its climax. The end of your contract is at hand. You pass through the now open gate into a field of luminous white flowers that stretches to the horizon, a place of profound peace and finality. Gehrman sits there in his wheelchair, gazing at the burning workshop. He congratulates you. You have done it. You have succeeded in this long hunt, and the long night draws to a close. He tells you that he will now grant you the last gift, a mercy. He will sever your connection to the dream, allowing you to awaken in the waking world as the sun rises, free of this night, the memories of the hunt fading as if from a mere bad dream. He offers you a choice, to submit your life and awaken, or to refuse. If you choose to submit, he nods, a look of weary relief on his old face. He calls you a good hunter. He stands, and with a gentle, paternal gesture, he embraces you. You feel no pain as his burial blade, the great scythe he carries, swings in a clean, merciful arc. The world of the dream dissolves into a peaceful darkness. You awaken in the streets of Yharnam. The blood moon is gone. The pale, gentle light of dawn is breaking over the Gothic spires. The long night is over. You are free. Back in the dream, the doll stands by a newly sprouted tombstone, waiting for the next hunter to be taken by the dream, the cycle of the hunt unbroken. But if you refuse, Gehrman sighs, a sound of deep, heavy grief. He looks at you, and for a moment, his gaze seems to search for an answer. What is it that holds you now? The intoxicating thrill of the hunt, the sweet, metallic tang of the blood? Or have you simply become captive to this horrible dream? The question fades from his eyes, unanswered. It does not matter. In the end, the reasons are all the same. A grim acceptance settles on his features. It has always fallen to the hunter's helper, after all, to clean up after these sorts of messes. He stands from his chair, a new strength flowing into his old limbs, and takes up his burial blade. Tonight, Gehrman joins the hunt. The battle that follows is a duel of ghosts in a field of graves. It is a sorrowful dance between the first hunter and the last, under a bleeding moon. Gehrman is a blur of old leather and shimmering steel, his movements honed by an eternity of practice. He flows across the field of flowers like the wind itself, the hiss of his sigh, a mournful song. He is a master of every art you have learned, his speed and ferocity a brutal lesson. The white petals of the flowers are kicked into the air, stained with the moonlight and the blood of a battle that will never be witnessed by the waking world. With a desperate parry, you find an opening, and the first hunter falls to his knees, his long vigil finally at an end. As his life fades, a colossal, pale entity descends from the blood moon, a being of writhing tendrils and impossible geometry. This is the moon presence, the true host of the dream. It drifts down and embraces you with a sense of ownership. Your will is overwhelmed by its cosmic power. You are bound to Gehrman's wheelchair, your consciousness fading as you become the new, slumbering caretaker of the dream, a guide for the next generation of hunters trapped in the night. The doll approaches her new charge, ready to begin the cycle anew. Yet, there is another way. If, before this final choice, you have sought out the deepest secrets of the world, if you have found and consumed the knowledge of infant gods, the remnants of umbilical cords, your will is fortified by a cosmic truth. You refuse Gehrman's offer. The duel proceeds as before. The first hunter falls. But when the moon presence descends to claim you, its new puppet, something is different. The insight you have gained allows you to resist. As it embraces you, a shockwave of your own ascendant power erupts, forcing the Great One back. Its attempt at subjugation has failed. Angered, the source of the dream reveals its true power. The final battle begins. The moon presence is a creature of impossible speed, a being of pale flesh that moves with an unnatural grace. It is a fight against the concept of the hunt, against the god that has pulled the strings of your journey. It unleashes a rain of blood that drains your very soul, a scarlet curse that brings you to the brink of death in an instant, forcing you to rally with a primal ferocity just to survive. The battle is a feverish, desperate struggle against a being that exists outside of mortal rules. Your final blow does more than just killing a creature. It shatters the heart of the dream. The great entity dissolves into nothing, its power flowing into you. But the cosmic energy is too much for a human form. You collapse amongst the white flowers. When the doll approaches, she does not find a hunter. She finds a small, larval, helpless creature, a squid-like being with nascent, unblinking eyes. You have not just ended the hunt, nor have you continued its cycle. You have broken it, transcending your humanity to be reborn. The doll, the maternal caretaker gently picks up the infant god. The pale blood hunt is complete. You have ushered in a new childhood's beginning for humanity. And so, the long night comes to an end. But what of the purpose that first drew you to this city? The first clue you were given in this world of blood and dreams? Amidst the nightmare you have endured, did you understand what it is? Did you claim it and reach your purpose? Did you find the pale blood? The city of Yharnam does not offer a merciful, simple answer, for nothing in this place can be called simple, and pale blood is no different. Yet, we can gather the scattered whispers and scraps of tale to try to understand the most mysterious substance in this world. So, let's go back to the beginning. You awaken on the cold table in Yasufka's clinic, the transfusion complete, the blood minister gone. In that quiet, sterile room, you find a small, folded note, its message scrawled in a desperate hand. Seek pale blood to transcend the hunt. This is the central mystery, the axis on which your entire journey turns. Yet, before you even take your first steps, a critical interaction complicates its meaning. When the bandaged blood minister first presents you with your contract, he seems to respond to a question you, the hunter, have already asked. His words, "Oh yes, pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place," are a direct confirmation. This is a deep mystery in itself. How could you, an outsider, arrive in Yharnam, a city of blood, already armed with this hidden, almost heretical term, a name that seasoned locals like Gilbert have never even heard of? It suggests your affliction is no common malady. Outsiders flock to Yharnam for its famed old blood, but you came seeking something more. Your sickness must have been so severe, so absolute, that a simple cure was impossible. Your only hope is to be remade. You came seeking a path to ascend, and the name for that path, whispered to you in some forgotten land, was pale blood. At first, the term seems literal. In a city of blood ministration, it is natural to assume pale blood is a tangible substance. As your journey unfolds, this theory gains a strange credibility. When you confront the vacuous ram, the great spider, like being that hides the truth of the world, you see that the blood which spills from its form is not red, but a pale, ethereal one. Its death rips the veil from reality, revealing the sky over Yahar'gul in a ghastly, pale hue, as if the world itself has been drained of its blood. In this context, the note's instruction feels different. To seek pale blood could be a command to seek the source of this pale, blood-drained reality, to uncover the Mensis ritual and put a stop to it. Yet, these are merely symptoms of the true source. The final piece of the puzzle lies waiting in the old lecture hall of Bergenworth, the origin of all this madness. A forgotten note makes the connection explicit. It speaks of the nameless moon presence beckoned by Lawrence and his associates, and then simply pale blood. There, the mystery is laid bare. Pale blood is not a substance, nor is it a phenomenon. It is a name, a descriptor for a being of immense and great power. Pale blood is the moon presence. It is the great one that descended from the sky, drawn by the beckoning of the first scholars. It is the entity that created the hunter's dream, that bound Gehrman to its service, and that perpetuates the endless cycle of the hunt. The pale refers to the cold, watching light of the moon from which it came, and the blood refers to its cosmic essence, the source of its power, and the origin of the dream. With this understanding, the note's true meaning is revealed. To seek pale blood was never to search for a medicine. It was a charge to confront the very God that orchestrates this nightmare. To transcend the hunt was to break the cycle itself. The only true transcendence is to challenge and defeat the moon presence, to absorb its power and be reborn. That first, simple note was more than just a quest. It was an invitation to commit divine murder. The pale blood hunt was never about finding a cure for your sickness, but about achieving it through apotheoses. And so we come to the final choice in that field of white flowers, under the burning workshop. Gehrman, the burdened warden of this dream, offers you the siren song of oblivion, a peaceful death here, an awakening there, the nightmare forgotten. This is the final temptation, the offer to simply walk away and let the cycle continue. But if the true purpose of the pale blood hunt was apotheoses, then this offer of mercy is the last great obstacle. This is why you refuse. Such an act of defiance is not born of a mind lost to the blood, nor is it the tragic madness of a hunter who can no longer stop. It is an act of unwavering clarity. It is the final, conscious step on the path you unknowingly began in that clinic. The note did not say survive the hunt, it said transcend it. And to awaken is not transcendence. It is surrender. In this moment, you understand. Gehrman is the gatekeeper, bound by the moon presence to ensure its dream remains stable, its hunters disposable, its cycle eternal. To confront the master of this dream, you must first unseat its caretaker. Gehrman must be removed from his post, one way or another. The duel that follows is the last, necessary betrayal. You must strike down the old man who guided you, because your purpose is to ascend to godhood, and the only way to do that is to ensure that Gehrman, and the cycle he represents, can finally leave the dream forever. This incredible act of defiance is only possible because of what the hunter has found and consumed along the way. The 3 umbilical cords are more than strange trophies. They are the physical story of the Great One's greatest failure. Each one is the cold, hard proof of a lost child, filled with the bottomless sadness and desperate hope of a cosmic parent. To eat them is not simply to gain power. It is an act of supreme empathy. The hunter willingly takes all of that ancient, alien grief into themselves. This is what finally gives them eyes on the inside. They can now see the Great Ones as more than just monsters, but as tragic figures, and they can finally understand the pain that drives them. The whole hunt, from the first drop of blood to the last, was a long, cruel preparation for this moment of cosmic adoption. The fight with Gehrman, then, is the last, bloody graduation exam. By defeating their teacher, the hunter proves they are no longer a child in need of protection. They are strong enough to stand on their own. And this is the moment the moon presence, the secret master of the dream, has been waiting for. It descends from the red moon, its patient plan finally complete. It has guided the hunter, nurtured them, and made them strong. Now, it reaches out to embrace them, to claim its prize and complete the transformation. The hunter is meant to become its perfect, surrogate child. But because the hunter carries the weight of all the other lost children within them, they now have the power to say no. Instead of being absorbed and becoming a dependent infant, they can fight back. For the first time in history, a human being stands on equal footing with a great one, ready to negotiate the future with violence. When the hunter wins this final, impossible battle, they are not just a victor, they are reborn. They become an infant great one, a new god for a new age. This is the true end of the cosmic tragedy. Unlike all the others, this child was not forced into existence. It was made through countless choices, and it still remembers what it means to be human. As the plain doll gently lifts the small, squirming creature, a new truth becomes clear. It was never enough to just create a child. The real secret was having someone there to love it. The long, lonely cycle is finally broken. After all the blood and all the beasts, the final truth of the hunt becomes clear. Pale blood cannot be found in a vial or drained from a monster. It is a state of being, a perfect, beautiful, and terrifying balance between a human mind and a cosmic one. The hunter's journey aimed to create this state within their own soul rather than simply discover it. Its pale, see-through color reflects its nature, existing simultaneously in our world and in the world of the great ones. This is what separates it from the red, common old blood. The old blood is a crude tool, a sledgehammer of cosmic power that shatters most minds it touches. Pale blood is different. It is a refined and stable form of that same power, but one that has been purified through deliberate choice and a will that refused to break. Every time we saw a hint of it before, it was a piece of this puzzle. Ariana's strange, otherworldly child was a failed attempt to create this balance through birth alone. The legends of false pale blood were stories of all the others who tried and failed to make this substance through science or force. The hunter succeeded where they all failed. When they defeated the moon presence and were reborn, they became a living source of pale blood. This new being, this infant god cradled by the doll, is beyond just the end of a hunt. It is the beginning of a cure for the entire cosmos. As a source of true pale blood, the hunter now holds the power to heal the wounds that have infected reality for ages. Their great advantage is that they remember what it was to be human. They understand choice, fear, and love. They can now guide others toward cosmic understanding without using the cruel and destructive methods of the past. The gentle way the doll cares for them is the first lesson in this new age, a demonstration of how a powerful being can interact with another without force, but through care. The hunter's balanced mind could be the key to fixing everything. The madness of the beast scourge, born from minds shattered by the old blood, could finally be soothed. The corrupt and broken institutions like the healing church could be rebuilt on a foundation of true understanding, not blind faith. Even the nightmare realms, those prisons of pain and madness, could be reshaped into places of healing. The hunter could become a negotiator between the other great ones, their shared loneliness and grief finally given a voice that understands. The hunt for pale blood was never about healing one person's sickness. It was about creating a consciousness so perfect, so balanced, that it could begin to heal the sickness that has plagued existence itself. But we must end with a word of caution. The hunt is never truly over. The hunter's victory does not fix the universe. It is only the first hopeful note in a song of endless tragedy. Yharnam was merely the latest city to fall into this cosmic trap. The three endings to the story offer different answers to an eternal question. Awakening in the Yharnam sunrise means choosing ignorance and pretending the problem doesn't exist while the rot continues underground. Taking Gehrman's place in the dream means accepting a role in a broken system, finding peace for yourself while the cosmos continues to suffer. The true beginning is the birth of the new infant Great One. This is the most ambitious and hopeful path, but it is also the most difficult. A new type of God has been born, one that might be able to break the cycle of grief. But a child, even a cosmic one, must be raised, and it will take eons. The universe, with all its old, lonely gods, may not be a welcoming place for something so new and different. The old ways of the church and the college will eventually rise again in some other city, under some other name. The hunter's final legacy is not that they saved the world, but that they proved it could be saved. They created a perfect example of a better way, a single point of light in an endless, hungry darkness. In a universe reeling from the terror of the unknown, where celestial powers can shatter a mind, the greatest secret is held in the gentle hands of a puppet. The plain doll, your only constant companion in the hunter's dream, is the quiet heart of this entire brutal nightmare. She was born from a man's grieving memory of a woman he once knew. And though she is not human, her compassion is perhaps the most powerful force in this world. Her purpose is a kind of gentle alchemy. She takes the raw material of your struggle, the blood and violence you have gathered, and through a simple act of care, transforms that pain into strength. And it is this doll who holds the most significant secret of all. She is the only being in this world that bleeds pure, white, pale blood. The kin of the cosmos, like the celestial emissaries, bleed a gray, serum-like fluid. Only she possesses the genuine article. Her very existence is a miracle, born from the creation of the dream itself. The abandoned workshop tells part of the tale, an umbilical cord. A catalyst used to summon the pale moon and beckon the nameless presence that Lawrence and his associates called PALEBLOOD. The Great Ones, it is said, are sympathetic in spirit and often answer when called upon. It seems this one, the moon presence, saw Gehrman's intense loneliness and, out of a strange cosmic sympathy, gave life to the doll he had created in his grief. This quiet grace is the perfect answer to the beings who rule this reality. The Great Ones are prisoners of their own nature. To gain eyes on the inside, as the old scholar Willem dreamed, is to see the universe for what it truly is, to witness the grotesque creatures clinging to every building, and to understand the awful truths that hide just beyond our sight. But this awareness is a curse. The searing pain of frenzy that a hunter feels is just a brief glimpse into the constant, unending state of torment that the Great Ones endure. They see all of reality across all of time, and this sight has only shown them how completely and utterly alone they are. Their only way to communicate this endless suffering is through a silent, desperate language scratched into the world. These are the Karel runes, the scars of their inner torment, first heard and transcribed by a forgotten student. Each rune is a piece of their pain. Communion expresses the raw ache of their isolation. I reflects their obsession with the sight that imprisons them. Beast represents the deep-seated fear of the monster inside us all, the one their power threatens to unleash. It is a language of pure need from beings who have everything except a cure for their own emptiness. The entire hunt, then, was a long, brutal lesson in how to bear the weight of their sight without letting the monster inside you win. The ultimate revelation is that PALEBLOOD was never a medicine you could find. It is the answer to the Great One's suffering. It is the blood of understanding. It is a state of being, a perfect and fragile balance achieved when the horrifying awareness of the celestial is met with the simple, selfless love of the doll. And as you, the hunter, are finally cradled in the doll's arms, a newborn god in a universe of broken parents, you see the truth. The real terror of this world was never the monsters in the streets. It was the discovery that even gods can be devoured by their own inner demons. The hunt for PALEBLOOD was always a journey inward. It is a soul to be forged, a choice to be made, over and over again. But perhaps that is not the whole truth. Maybe PALEBLOOD is, after all, just a name on a forgotten list, something more than a meaning and less than an answer. Perhaps the universe is a cold, empty place rather than a grand, tragic story waiting to be understood. In a world that refuses to give a straight answer, you are left with one final, harrowing choice. The true nature of PALEBLOOD may be a question that will never be answered. And in that silence, you must choose your hunt. The real hunt, the one that goes on forever. It is the choice we all have to face the vast, terrifying emptiness of the universe with fear, or to answer it with a little of a puppet's simple, impossible love.